Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is Manifesting Like a Mofo, Intention Setting Done Right. And this is because as we enter a new year, often the first thing we're doing is looking forwards, going full of promise, what do I want this year to be? And if you're anything like us, you're like so aware of your magic and your ability to manifest. And you're like, I'm going to use this force for good.
Yes.
And then we miss a few steps.
Yeah. We get really excited and then we go, at some point.
Yes, so much. And actually, before we even start, because we haven't nailed this down into four steps that we would like you to follow to really sink into this and actually make it incredibly tangible. So this podcast is tangible. Please, have your piece of paper out or your note on your phone. Is the awareness that every single one of us will experience chaos. You could not possibly organize, plan for, execute, strategically put in place so much stuff that you would somehow avoid the derailment. That we can do our best to set and lay the foundations for all of the way that we would like our year to go. But then what we have to do is let go of the form, because nothing is missing. We'll always get what we want. It'll just come in a different form. Don't attach to I'm losing it because it's not in this form. It will exist, that. But also to realize at some point in our year, we're going to be derailed. All of us will have a different why on the derailment, but we're all going to enter chaos and our year kind of gets blown up a little. So we have to kind of leave breathing room in our intention setting for the awareness that this is not in the way, it is on the way to everything that we desire, to recognize that nothing is missing, the form still exists, and to know that our plans, part of laying a plan is the fact that the plan will get blown up. I don't know how else to say that. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back on this year, every single one of us has had intense experiences that then we kind of go, oh, well, the reason I couldn't do those things was, the reason that didn't happen was because I didn't know I was going to have to.
Yeah, every year, all the time, forever.
Right. Exactly. My point.
So we're really saying don't be rigid, but let this be an invitation.
Yeah.
And we have set this up in such a way that hopefully it is really grounded and aspirational.
Yeah. And we want you to
both.
Yes. And to have the realization on that topic that you have the power to co-create your life, but you are not the divine in and of itself. So you cannot control so much that there's not also the other aspect of co-creation that you do not have control of. So co-create, put your powers of manifestation towards what you can create. That's the purpose of having vision and intention. But also to have the breathing room to let go to the bigger creation that you're part of.
Yeah.
So step number 1 is we would like you to reconcile your year in all of the areas of life.
So we see it as 7 areas of life. So you've got your spiritual area, mental, vocational, physical, social, financial,
Family?
and family. Did I say family?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that I'd have to pause and replay that a little bit. But those are your 7 areas of life. So as humans, we are incarnated on this earth with an intention from the divine to empower all those areas at various points in our life, not necessarily all at the same time. So if you're listening to this podcast, it's quite likely that you're invested a lot in family, at the very least, and a number of other areas. And that's where your intentions go. That's where your focus goes, probably where your power is. And so we want you to reconcile each of those areas of life, rating them from a 1, like, oh gosh, like terrible, to a 10, like absolutely killing it, no more growth needed, I'm nailing it. And so take a minute to rate yourself across each of those areas in that 1 to 10 scale.
Totally. It's like a health check. It's like giving it a health scale. The health of each of these, it's like being a surveyor of your life. The health of my life, because I'm a complex human with many aspects and facets of self, the health check looks like this from this year. Yeah. And the purpose of doing that is so that you move forwards with deeper insight and purpose with where you want to see growth, because it's almost like a tangible metric.
And it helps you see, okay, if I'm rating my physical health at like an 8, okay, well, that is that reflective of the investment I've put there? Yeah, okay. I can appreciate that my time went there. If I'm rating my finances at a 3, okay, well, I can see that lots of money went towards my physical health, and that's part of why my finances is less. Can I appreciate myself for that? Because what can often happen as we get to this time of year is that we go in a spiral of I haven't done, I'm not, lack, comparison, self-flagellation.
Well said.
So this process also helps you look at your life, not everyone else's, look at your life, what it represents, and help you see where your energy has gone and where your intention has gone and where your value is.
The value that you have on life and the way you're living it. Yeah, what's meaningful to you.
That's right.
Yeah, totally. So once you've got a health check number, scale, a tangible metric, of course, we want you to keep this and file it away so you can reflect next year at the same time. You've got your health scale is to then write. So if you imagine you're just kind of splitting your page up into little boxes, is to write under each of those areas of life what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is pat and repeat, just, rinse and repeat the stuff that worked really well, because that set up our health check in that area. That worked great.
Yeah.
And to then be able to, like we would survey a business or efficiency or productivity of any sort, is to go, and actually these systems, structures, things did not work great.
Yeah. So then it kind of becomes a keep, a start, or a stop doing process. So once you've got your this worked well, this didn't work well, you might start to notice a pattern, maybe of investing your time or of certain things you put in place to help things work well.
In certain areas of life, do you mean? Like you'll start to see patterns?
Yes, that's right. In certain areas of life, so you might start to see, okay, like it worked really well for me to manage my money when I had Monday money night, for example. Yeah. So I want to keep that. Or if I can see that I didn't manage my money at all, then maybe I need to start a Monday money night, for example. And so you'll start to see, okay, I can see the things that didn't work well perhaps don't have a system around them. Or don't have, I'm not investing my time there. I'm not seeing that as purposeful to my other areas of life. So how can I actually see it as purposeful so I do it?
Yes. So which is literally step number 2, is we really want you to then look over that health check overview, reconciliation you've done of your year of areas of life, and go, okay, let me focus on each one individually. In this area of life, what am I keeping? What am I dropping? What am I consciously improving? And when we're looking at, are we keeping it or are we dropping it? We really want to be clear on, do I really have to do this thing? Because you could have area of life that is family and you're like, I'm doing the lunch boxes, I'm cleaning the house, I'm shopping for the kids, I don't know, school books, clothes, medical care, taking them to appointments and their extracurriculars and doing the school drop-offs and pickups and all right, you could list all of the things you're doing in that area of life. But then we want you to look at it and go, do you really have to be the one who does all of those things because it's inspiring to you and you want to do them. It should not be on a keep if you're doing those things but with a slave mindset and you're like, fucking hate that I have to do this shit and I'm resenting my partner and creating chaos in other areas of my life because I'm not willing to own this.
Yeah.
So do I really have to do it? Or can I delegate it to someone else or drop it entirely? I don't need to do it. So and, you know, as Bridgie had said, is it a should? Even what's your language? I should do that.
Yeah.
Versus how should it feel? Like I really want to do that.
And, you know, how much of what you're shooting yourself around is just internalized perfect mother nonsense, when in fact what would be most liberatory for you and for your family is to actually go, what do I really want to do? And in fact, who wants to do the other things that I don't really want to do?
Yeah. Or just to have the boardroom meeting with your partner and go, hey, I'm doing all of these jobs in this family Inc. I don't want to do this stuff. And your partner's like, I want to do that stuff. And you're like, cool, let's get creative. How can we get these things done? Because I don't want to do them. You don't want to do them. That's fine. But then we need to creatively work team together on how we get these things done. So I just want you to get more creative with how you're designing your life because you are designing it as you live it.
Yeah.
So what can I keep? What can I drop? And then when I look at those areas of life, what is it that I would really like to see growth or improvement in? Or would I really like to consciously improve? Like, because they become your 2023 manifestations or intention settings. These are the things that I would like to see change in.
Yeah. And this is what's so beautiful to do this process off the back of rating your last year, because it's not some pie in the sky, like totally untethered to anything.
Yes, I have $10 in the bank and I would like to earn 1.5 million.
Yes.
Yes.
What you're actually creating your intentions from is seeing your life on paper and where you yearn to have growth.
Yes.
And writing your goals and your intentions from that place.
Yes, exactly. This podcast is brought to you by what we have going on in the world that you can jump in on. And Bridgie, what's there for you?
Yeah, so it's Reimagining Motherhood. Really, it is a space for supporting you to integrate conscious parenting alongside the whole woman that you know you are, and really integrating so many of those disowned parts that we are called to remember as mothers and on our parenting journey. So you can find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. And you, Jules?
You can grab my sexy Christmas date. So what you get is an easy to follow sexy and sensual couples date that comes with a 20-minute guided tantric date workshop video that you get to follow along, press play and follow along. You can gift your partner a special experience or gift each other. Comes with a downloadable PDF guide and a whole heap of sexy playlists. And you can find out more about that at julietenner.love/sexy Christmas. So point number 3 is when you see where you would consciously like to see growth and improvement is great. Write that down. And then we want you to next to it write, what is the end vision or goal? What is the true manifestation that you would like to be living instead? What's your end desire? The thing you don't like, don't want to have, don't want to do anymore. What would you love it to be? Have a vision, have a goal, know where you're headed, because or else you're just like shooting blanks.
Yeah.
Be targeted if you're going to use your energy. You want to be headed towards something. If there's no goal, you're just kind of fizzing everywhere. So where are you headed? Know your goals. That's step number 3. Write your goals, write your vision, write your end place I want to live my life in each of these.
This is important because, particularly as women, we can tend to, a lot of the caring responsibilities can fall on us. A lot of the peacekeeping responsibilities can fall on us, and we can become participants in other people's goals if we don't have strong goals of our own. 100%. And so this is a powerful process to be doing right now so that you can then run through this list anything else that's creeping into your world so that you can decide if that is moving you toward where you really want to go or if it's a distraction.
Exactly. Because anytime you get wobbly or chaos abounds, which it will, and you will, you go back to this piece of paper and you remind yourself, where am I headed? What can I do here that brings me back on that course or in that stream of flow?
Yeah.
Like, so beautiful. You can use that throughout your year. Step number 4, once you've got your end goals or visions, is to then we want you to get super practical and bump those down into tangible and realistic goals. Because if you've got $10 in the bank and by the end of the year, you'd like to have 1.5 million, yes, we can leave room for magic, but what is missing out of that conversation is the action steps of who you become to be the person that has 1.5 million. The person who has $10 is not doing those things.
No, that's right.
So there's a level of intentional action or inspired action that is required to co-create with the universe. So this is the point of step number 4. When you've got your end goal, which is your 12-month goals. Now we want you to look at each of those goals. You could split them up on, let's say there's 4 areas of life or 4 things you want to improve. Split your page into 4, write each one of those at the top of each of those boxes. And that's your 12-month goal. Break it down. So if that's at 12 months, in 6 months, where I would need to be is to be tracking along for that. What are the goals?
How do I know I'm on track? If I was to get to 6 months, what does it look like to be on track for my 12-month goal at 6 months?
Exactly. And then when you've got your 6-month goal, we want you to break it in half again. What would that 6-month goal look like if I was on track in 3 months? So to have my 6-month goal, in 3 months, I would need to be.
And these can be things like, if it's not tangible, like say money, for example, maybe it's relationship goals. So perhaps, in 12 months, you want to have your partner perhaps initiating date nights, or your partner is initiating, connection time together or time away or whatever. You want them to take the lead. So that requires a changing in the pattern of your relationship to allow that to happen. So what does it need to look like at 6 months for you to see that there's some progress?
Yes, love it.
And if it's parenting and you're trying to reduce your triggers or you're trying to reduce your reactivity, how do you know you're on track? Maybe it's once a month doing a bit of a recon on how much you lost your shit and what were the tipping points for you and how can you ease those so that you can have greater control of your nervous system. Yeah. Just ask yourself, how can I make this tangible? How can I know I've met this? It doesn't need to be a number, but it needs to be some form of metric.
Yes, exactly. So we want you to do that for your 12-month vision or goal, where I need to be in 6 months, where I need to be in 3 months, and then where I need to be in this one next month. By the end of this month, where I would like to be, experience, be doing, having as a habit is. So then you have very clear information. So for this next 1 month, for this next quarter, for this next half year, for this next 12 months, I know exactly where I am focusing and targeting my growth, my energy, my learning, and my money. And you do not deviate from that path. You stay in your lane.
Yeah. But kind of like you borrow on that last week's podcast, which was around your father force. You borrow on that, you build that father force to hold yourself to that vision, that 12-month vision.
Yeah. And that is how you will really manifest like a mofo and get your intention setting done right. And we would love to hear how you go.
Yeah. And as we're talking about it, I'm so excited to do this.
So good. It feels so good because you can feel so specific. It's like so tangible.
Yeah.
As opposed to this scattergun approach that you never seem to get anywhere and you're like a duck paddling.
And I think the tangible nature of it helps you feel like there's something holding you that you can rest in, right? Like you've built a structure around where you want to go, as opposed to shiny thing, overwhelm, collapse, shiny thing, overwhelm, right? Like it's just this, you get buffeted by the waves around you if you don't have something that's holding you. And this kind of process holds you.
Exactly. So we would love to hear how you go and how you find that experience and what you might need from there. And you can reach out to us at nourishingthemother.com.au, Nourishing the Mother on Facebook and Instagram. And we would love to hear from you. And Bridgie, how can we get in on improving our life and manifesting our 2023 with you?
Well, you can hop into Reimagining Motherhood, where this month we are doing all of these things and more with a Set Your Year program across motherhood, but beyond as well. So you can find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. And you, Jules?
Well, I would actually just love for us to refocus, as always, because you don't have like a broken record, on relationship and on how you experience your own body, connection, sensuality, and ability to be in connection with others and life in general. I just feel like it's so central to how we navigate ourselves through life. So that's why you can have a guided date from me. So you can find out more about that at julietenner.love/sexy Christmas, because during this festive season, during this phase where you are so focused on kids and going to everybody's families, I want you to make sure you're creating time for you to discover yourself as a woman, as a sensual, sexual being, and in connection with your relationship.
Beautiful. Remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.